Thank you very much. And thank you in particular for having me back on Imagine. So, as the image will conjure up, and as we've just spoken about, we are definitely coming into the winter season. Um, and I guess as the evenings close it in, any of the kind of routines that we've maybe established back in September, they've started to normalize. We've kind of had harvest season come and go. And now we often begin to start taking stock of where things are at. Many of us go into a bit of a hibernation mode over the winter months, or perhaps just become increasingly reflective. We've watched leaves and seeds and fruits mature and fall. And some of us tend to recall Jesus's words in John that unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. Meanwhile, in the Old Testament, we're reminded that there is a season for everything: for birth, for dying, for sowing, for reaping, for dancing and in mourning. And in the Catholic tradition, we remember our dead at this particular time of year, in November, as we draw the liturgical year to a close. And other ancient traditions considered that this time of year was when the veil between this life and the next was at its thinnest. So there's lots maybe that leans us into kind of a reflective mode. And meanwhile, the gospel at the beginning of this month reminds us that those who mourn are blessed and that they shall be comforted. So tonight we will spend a bit of time with one such woman who mourns. It's the widow who features in Matthew and Luke's gospel after Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem. So it's also a moment when Jesus' own death is pretty imminent. He's spent these last days preaching in the temple, coming into thinly veiled conflict with the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders. He also sought to drive out the money changers during a week where pilgrims were coming from far and wide to make donations and pay their dues at the temple, which happened to be going through a decades-long and no doubt expensive restoration project. But before we get into all that, we will do a little grounding exercise to help us bring our whole selves, all that we are, before God. So we'll use some gentle self-soothing touch to both remind ourselves that we're incarnate beings coming to prayer, and also help settle and ready ourselves for some quiet and contemplative stillness. So for this, you may wish to turn cameras off. I think you're already there, but also perhaps remove glasses, take hair down if you have some tied up, remove earrings. I'm going to do that myself. If it doesn't sound like your cup of tea at all, instead of following my instructions for the next few minutes, simply move your attention slowly from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, just relaxing the muscles and releasing tension as you go. To start, maybe bring your palms together and place the thumbs against the kind of part just between the eyebrows, quite low down. And you want to press a little there. And then as you take a big inhale through the nose, then exhale, spread the thumbs across the brow and as far as the temples. So you might like to take a couple of breaths, just smoothing out the brow as you exhale. Inhale, bring the palms together. Press the thumbs against that point in the middle of the forehead. As you exhale, smoothing out the forehead. And then if it feels okay, take the fingertips to the hairline or the edge of the scalp and start to run your fingers through your hair all the way back to the nape of the neck. And again, you can do that a few times, massaging the scalp as you go, reminding yourself that you are in the body. And try to soften the gaze. Maybe close your eyes and relax the muscles around the eyes. And if your audio setup allows, you can bring the fingers to the ears and take just that curled cartilage at the top of your ears between your middle and or your pointing finger. What's that one? The first finger and the thumb, and gently unroll or unfurl the tops of the ears. And then work your way down the outer edge of the ears until you get to the earlobes. And you can just gently press and give that a little tug. Maybe making slight circular movements between the finger and the thumb. You might also like to press gently on the skin behind the ears as well. Let your lower jaw hang kind of slack. Might work for you to lick the lips and then slide the top and bottom lip side to side just to soften and unclench the jaw a little bit. And perhaps then taking a deep breath in. Imagine that all the pores of your body are absorbing air from around you. And then as you breathe out, imagine that you are letting the body relax a little bit more. And if there are any movements you would like to make, so maybe that's rolling the shoulders or stretching out the spine one way, the other way, kind of curling it round and then opening the chest up. Maybe you want to do a little twist or shake your legs out. Find a way to kind of wiggle and settle into your chair. Do that now. Then come to stillness and allow the breath to be a little bit deeper. Allowing the low belly to fill with breath. And become aware of those subtle movements in the whole of the torso, the whole of the body as you sit and breathe. Pay attention to where your body is in contact with your chair or the floor. And on the exhale, think about relinquishing the weight of the body as well as the weight of any current burdens to the support of the environment. Then broaden your awareness to the presence of God with you now. As best you can, allow God to look at you with love. And dwell in that gaze of love from God. Maybe lean in to the support that God offers. And ask for God's guidance in this time of prayer. that your attention might be drawn to that which is of true significance as we imagine the scene in the temple. In his teaching, Jesus said, "Beware of the scribes who like to walk about in long robes, to be greeted obsequiously in the market squares, to take the front seats in the synagogues and the places of honor at banquets. These are the men who swallow the property of widows while making a show of lengthy prayers. The more severe will be the sentence they receive." He sat down opposite the treasury and watched the people putting money into the treasury. And many of the rich put in a great deal. A poor widow came and put in 2 small coins, the equivalent of a penny. Then he called his disciples and said to them, "I tell you solemnly, this poor widow has put in more than all who have contributed to the treasury. For they've all put in money they had over. But she, from the little she had, has put in everything she possessed, all she had to live on." Imagine that you too are sitting by the treasury. And you're watching the various people making their donations. Maybe you're in first century Jerusalem or a more contemporary place of worship, or some equivalent situation that makes sense for you. There you are with Jesus, observing the events as the rich and powerful present themselves. What time of day is it? What's the light like? And what do you see around you? What's the structure of this building or place? What's the decor like? Are there any items that stand out? Perhaps for their beauty, perhaps for other reasons, or maybe they just seem out of place. What's their significance to you? What are the noises of this place? Is it quiet and reverent? Is there a bit of a hubbub? Do you hear silks rustle or chinking in coin bags? Maybe clinks as deposits are made. Who is around? How are they conducting themselves? What are they wearing? What's their demeanor, their expression? How are they relating to one another? What are they doing? Can you overhear any of their remarks? Are there any distinct smells in this place? Perfumes or kind of metallic hint of coins, the sweat of pilgrims, parcels of food that travelers carry. How are you feeling in this moment? Physically as well as emotionally? Like, what's the temperature or the texture of the clothes against your skin? The solidity of where you're perched, the sense of the ground underneath you, the feeling in your bones as you watch the events unfold. And then there's the woman. What do you notice about her? Is she someone you recognize? Do you know she is a widow before Jesus speaks? How long has it been since her husband died? How is she coping with her lot in life? How does she make her approach? And what's her expression as she offers these coppers? In Jesus' time, care of widows is a duty of the righteous, and he's just rebuked those whose priorities were skewed. What do you make of his words now? Is it praise or awe? Is he lamenting the situation? What is his tone of voice, his expression? What strikes you about what he is saying and how he is saying it? I tell you solemnly, this poor widow has put more in than all who have contributed to the treasury. For they have all put in money they had over. But she, from the little she had, has put in everything she possessed, all she had to live on. From whose perspective are you listening to Jesus? Are you a disciple or someone of wealth? Maybe the widow herself. What happens next? Who do you feel drawn to in this scene? Is there someone there with whom you wish to debrief? Maybe you'd like to speak to Jesus directly, or the widow, another in the scene, or maybe someone altogether different. Take some quiet moments now for you to have that conversation about what you've witnessed and let that conversation be guided by the Spirit. And take a moment to listen to the insight that you receive. And take some moments of quiet now. In these last moments of quiet, consider to what extent that we can put the little that we have, everything we possess, before God. Then, drawing this time of prayer to a close, gently take your leave of the scene and the conversation, knowing that you can continue and return to this at another point in time. But for now, you might like to join me in the here and now and read David Fleming's translation of the Anima Christi with me. Jesus, may all that is you flow into me. May your body and blood be my food and drink. May your passion and death be my strength and life. Jesus, with you by my side, enough has been given. May the shelter I seek be the shadow of your cross. Let me not run from the love which you offer, but hold me safe from the forces of evil. And on each of my dyings, shed your light and your love. Keep calling to me until that day comes when with your saints I may praise you forever. Amen.